Ave Maria, and welcome to episode 22 of Marian Shrines of the World. In this episode, we travel to Southeast Asia, to the country of Vietnam, where Catholicism was introduced by Dominican missionaries at the beginning of the 16th century. However, these early missions had little impact, and it was only after the arrival of the Jesuits in the first decades of the 17th century that Christianity began to establish itself within the local population. This era was one of political instability, which led to armed revolts. Some of these revolts were led by Catholics, causing the authorities to view this new religion as representing Europeans' power, determined to lead a working-class revolt against Vietnamese self-governance. In 1798, fearing the spread of Catholicism, the emperor therefore restricted its practice in the country. Soon thereafter, he issued an edict ordering the destruction of all Catholic churches and seminaries. Violent persecution quickly ensued. It is at this point that our story really begins. Catholics from the town of Quang Tri, located in central Vietnam, in the province of the same name, fled to the nearby forest of Vang to hide. While preparing themselves for martyrdom, many suffered from cold and exposure to the weather, were in fear of wild beasts, and were sick with jungle fever and starvation. One of the few comforts that they had was to gather in small groups at night and pray the Most Holy Rosary. One night, near 3 large trees, there was an apparition of a beautiful lady wearing the traditional Vietnamese long dress and holding a child in her arms with 2 angels at her side. The people immediately recognized the lady as our Blessed Mother, and they listened attentively while Mary told them softly how she was fully aware of their hardships and of their chronic sickness. She told them to gather certain leaves that grew nearby, and that boiling them to make a strong tea as medicine would cure them. Solemnly she added, "From this day on, prayers said on this spot will be heard and answered." This took place on the grass area near the large trees where the refugees were praying, and all those who were present witnessed the apparition. In fact, Our Lady appeared several more times. The people who took refuge there erected a small and simple shrine in her honour. In 1802, the people heard the persecution had ended and most were back to their homes. During the following years, her name was spread among the people in the region to other places. Despite its isolated location in the high mountains, groups of people continued to find ways to penetrate the deep and dangerous jungle to pray to the Lady of Vang. By 1820, even the Buddhists believed in Our Lady's promise and built a small shrine, a pagoda, a spot where Mary had been seen. Within a short time, these Buddhists became Christians, and their small shrine became the first church of Our Lady of Vang. The faithful found solace and courage in this devotion in times of oppression and general misery that have come again and again to the Vietnamese people. From 1830 to 1885, another wave of persecution decimated the Christian population, during the height of which the chapel in honour of Our Lady of Vang was destroyed. During this time, it is estimated that more than 100,000 Vietnamese Catholics died as martyrs. Despite the ongoing persecution, pilgrimages to the spot increased from year to year. In 1886, after the persecution had officially ended, construction began of a new chapel which, because of its precarious location and limited funding, took 15 years to complete. The solemn consecration ceremony, where the bishop consecrated the chapel in honour of Our Lady Help of Christians, was attended by over 12,000 people and lasted 2 days from August the 6th to August the 8th, 1901. Soon it was no longer able to hold the many pilgrims to Vang, and in 1923 a new and bigger church was built. It was consecrated on August the 22nd, 1928, in the presence of 20,000 pilgrims. Every 3 years a national pilgrimage was organised for the whole country. In 1959, the Vietnamese Bishops' Conference officially declared Vang a national shrine, marking 300 years of the Church's presence in Vietnam. In August of 1962, Pope John XXIII elevated the church to the status of basilica. 3 artificial trees made of reinforced concrete were constructed in June 1963, reminiscent of the original apparitions among the trees. In the summer of 1972, towards the end of the Vietnam War, the basilica was destroyed by artillery. Though the building was destroyed, the faith of the people remained. South Vietnamese soldiers took a moment to pray in the ruined church, and even Nguyen Van Huy, President of South Vietnam, took time to visit the ruined church and pray. Despite the death and destruction, Our Lady was still there watching over her people. Though there is no official Vatican recognition of this event as a Marian apparition, on June 19, 1988, St. John Paul II, in the canonization ceremony of the 117 Vietnamese martyrs, publicly acknowledged the importance of the Lady of Vang and expressed his hope for the rebuilding of Vang Basilica to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the first apparition of the Lady of Vang. Even today, pilgrims still come to ask Our Lady of Vang for healing from incurable illnesses, and their prayers continue to be heard and answered. Today's church was rebuilt from 1995 to 2004 with a bell tower, a praying square and pilgrim house. At the moment, there are plans to begin construction of an even larger shrine. Our Lady of Vang continues to be an inspiration for those who suffer for their faith, and she continues to invite people to pray and make sacrifices for the love of their faith. We are all encouraged to come to Mary, that she might draw us to her Immaculate Heart and encourage us in our times of suffering to be united to the sufferings of Christ, her Divine Son. Our Lady of Vang, pray for us. Ave Maria,